Yeah, hey, this is the Blind Guy Doing Stuff, and you are tuned into my channel right here on YouTube today. And we are going to do a quick video on the terpenes in cannabis. And we have the camera kind of set up over here, just watching the turntable go around and around, because I am the blind guy doing stuff, and I'm not really digging on setting the camera up since I am blind. So um, if you're tuning into this, we're going to be focused primarily on the information I'll be giving out, and we'll be getting the videos going better here sooner or later. But when we're talking cannabis, one of the big things we're talking about right now out there in cannabis is the terpenes. And I'm really proud that this is one of the things that I started talking about along with the workshop and Jeffrey Raber and a lot of other people about 3 or 4 years ago. This was starting to come out, and we were saying, "Hey, terpenes are the big thing in cannabis," and now it's really starting to hit the mainstream, and that is really great to see. However, I'm still going into the cannabis shops, and the bud tenders are saying, "Hey, how's it going? Do you want sativa and indica?" So let's talk about that for a minute, sativa and indica and terpenes, and then we'll get into the actual terpenes of cannabis. So, as a lot of you know, cannabis is broken down into basically three major categories: sativa, indica, and hybrid. Sativa, supposedly, now the and supposedly we'll talk about what indica is too. Supposedly, indicas give you like the stone, the couch lock. The if you want to sleep, you want an indica. If you want to chill out, you want to get an indica. And then the sativas are the plants that the flowers that will give you more of an uplifting um, effect or medication. And so they're when people are saying, "Do you want a sativa or indica?" They're basically asking you, "Do you want to stay awake or do you want to go to sleep?" In a hybrid, these are plants that have been bred between the two, and these are the ones that kind of have a mixed effect. And this is something that's still going on in the retail stores. They're always asking that question. But in fact, and I'm getting this information from Dr. Jeffrey Raber of the workshop and others, the sativa and indica, and then Normal just had a article out on this about a week ago. Sativa and indica really don't mean anything anymore, and they really never did. Those two categories really describe what the plant looks like. So it's a sativa plant. They grow really tall and lanky, and they have these really long arms, and they get flowers like all the way up the arms, and they can really get big. And the indica plant, they can get big as well, but they're more of a bush. I was aware of an indica plant that someone had a couple years ago, full grown. It was probably no taller than maybe 4 feet. I mean, just full grown. So those plants grow really small, and the sativa has the longer, sort of pointy leaves, and the indica has the big, fat, wide, squatty leaves. And then a hybrid plant, of course, is between the two. But there's been so much breeding that we don't really know what's going on exactly with the sativa and indica anymore. Now, perhaps at one time these effects did line up with sativa and indica, but they don't anymore. And one of the things Dr. Raber pointed out in some of his early videos was that we don't even know because a grower could just say, "Hey, this is a Jack Hare," and it'd just be like a cross between a Jack Hare and something else. I mean, you just don't know what the strains are actually are. A lot of times, it seems like people can just make up their new strain. So, and they can. So they got a seed, it crosses, and then they say you got a plant, and then they say, okay, these plants produce pretty good flowers, and they'll just call it Jack Sprat or something. They just make up a name, and then they're like, oh, okay, this is sativa. And so this has gone on and on and on. As if you go online, you look up like I was just researching like the best strains of 2018. You go online, you start looking around, and it is just these names. It's just like, okay, where does this come from? It really means nothing. And it's like, okay, this is an indica, this is sativa. Okay, what does that exactly mean? And as Normal points out, and as Dr. Jeffrey Raber is pointing out, in 2018, sativa and indica really mean nothing except for what the plant looks like. And even then, I've noticed that most plants are just something in the middle. I had a plant that grew really tall, but had like leaves that were like an inch and a half wide and, um, you know, 10-inch long fingers on the thing. So that's huge leaves, is that an indica or sativa? It seemed like a sativa would have the thinner, like maybe a half-inch wide leaf and that long, and so you see what I mean. So you just can't really tell these days. So that is why we're going to get in and talk about the actual terpenes, and this is where we're trying to move. Where I would like to the industry to move is on a package instead of going in saying you want a blue dream, which would be those are something pretty popular, or a skunk or a jack hare. You would say, hey, I need something. It's got high in pinene, high in myrcene, and of course it still maybe have the name, but these terpenes are listed out there, so you actually know what's going to happen when you use the flower. So here are some of the major terpenes in cannabis. And I would like to thank again the workshop for sending me. They have a terpene kit called. Go to canaroma.com and you can get a kit. And they gave me a kit at one time at a cannabis convention, and then they were nice enough to send me a. They sent me the all the information in the kit all on PDF so I could read it while I got doing stuff. So I really appreciate that. And so here are some of the major terpenes in cannabis, and then I'll do a little talk about each one as we go forward. So the first one is alpha bisabolol. This is a new one to me. I don't really know a whole lot about this one. So this was the one of the terpenes found in chamomile. So actually, let's go back. Sorry about that. We need to define terpenes. So terpenes are actually the aromatic compounds found on plants. Anytime you walk by a plant and you smell it, that's a terpene, or sometimes they call it a terpenoid when they start combining with other molecules. These are the most common molecules out there in the atmosphere, and they're volatile compounds, meaning they release from the plants and then they break apart pretty quick. That's why smells, you can smell a cannabis plant like 20 feet away, but 200 feet away, you can't really smell it because by that time all the molecules are broken down. So that's what they mean by volatile compounds. So they're very reactive out there in nature. So terpenes, that's what they are. All plants have them. Some plants have stronger than others. Some are they. Now, see, humans like to anthropomorphize things and say, okay, well, these are our terpenes. These are what they're here for. Well, no, the actually plant makes the terpenes to benefit itself first. So first they use the terpenes as an insect repellent. It also acts like a shield for the seeds. All that stickiness all over it will act from bacteria and stuff killing the seed. Actually will act to sort of anchor the seed when it falls down. So the terpenes are, and it also, that strong smell also attracts insects for pollination. So the terpenes actually act as a lot of different things for the plant and don't really have anything to do with us until we decided, hey, okay, we're going to breed these for a certain way. And so people started breeding these, and over Christmas at a holiday party, and you don't really get this a lot because, frankly, a lot of the people out there growing cannabis aren't the best at it. So the terpenes are it's really rare. Well, you'll get a strain and somebody say, oh, it smells like berry. Then you smell it, it actually smells like berry. But, a guy has some and it did smell like berry. And then he has some more that smelled like floral. And so these things are, that's what you're smelling, the terpenes. And the rule of thumb is the stronger the terpene smell, the stronger the effect's going to be. So if it's some of the stuff where you open up the bag, and that's why it's well known that you go around when you get cannabis, first thing you do is smell it, because that strong smell, well, if it's a strong smell, it's going to be a strong flower there, and that's because of these molecules, the terpenes. And when these are used or ignited, along with the THC and the CBD, that we'll be doing another video on that, they combine together to give you what's called they're calling it the entourage effect. So these are all the terpenes mixed together, plus the THC and the CBD and the CBG and the other cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. These all act together to produce this thing called the entourage effect. Okay. Sorry, had to go back there and recap what we're actually talking about, terpenes. So let's talk about this one again. Alpha bisabolol. So this is one of the terpenes you find in chamomile. It smells fruity, nutty, coconut. It's anti-irritant and antimicrobial. So what that's telling you is that if you have this terpene, that if you inhale it, it goes into your lungs, into your bloodstream, it will help with some of these things, irritation. It will help with help with if you have any kind of fungus. People get foot fungus and things like this. And so this would actually be a good terpene for topicals, So alpha bisabolol. So the next one is alpha humulene, and it is found in hops. And if we didn't know, hops is actually a like the first cousin or a brother of or sister of cannabis. It's right there in the same family, and so it smells woody, bitter, peppery, and floral, kind of like a beer. We find the hops in beer, and I recently had some oil that I had, and it just smelled just like kind of had a beer smell to it. So the properties are as modulation of inflammatory activity. So this will help tamp down any inflammation you have and sort of even it all out. Um, I'm not going to really comment. I need to look up where exactly what the word modulation means in the medical context, but I kind of have a general idea. It kind of evens things out and helps your body balance. And so that is alpha humulene. So the next one is alpha pinene, and now we're getting into some I'm a little more familiar with, and some of the more popular ones. And alpha pinene is a popular terpene in cannabis. It's one of the ones like Jack Hare, the sativas. A lot of these. What was the one? There's been so many strains I can't really. Yeah, just something OG had a really strong pinene to it, and it gives you like a really strong kind of stony effect. And of course, it is found in conifers. And one of the nicknames of cannabis is the pine. So if you open up the bag and open up the container, it has like a piney smell. That's the pinene. So piney and woody kind of smells turpentine-like, and this is a very common terpene in cannabis. So it opens your airways. They used to use turpentine. They'd rub it on the pine sap. Could rub it on your chest, or I don't know how the other ways they would take it, but it helps open up your airways and is a memory aid, believe it or not. And again, we are getting this information from the workshop, Canaroma Kit. You can check that out at theworkshop.com or look up Canaroma, and I will see if I can put the link to that in the description. So next one is beta carotene, and this terpene actually doesn't really have a major physical effect, and it's one of the ones that are not really known much about, but it is very strong terpene, and it is found in black pepper. So woody, spicy, and smells like clovey, and of course peppery. That's the beta carotene. So this one is anti-inflammatory, so it's a very good terpene to use if you have like headaches, if you have inflammatories like broken bones or pulled muscles or swollen, um, any kind of thing with inflammation, which honestly most of the problem in your body is caused by inflammation. So this is a great terpene, and recently read an article that this terpene might be helping cure cancer. So when we're talking about cannabis curing cancer, beta carotene might be the ones out there doing it. So next up, we have one called myrcene, and this terpene is the one when somebody says indica sativa. This is one of the terpenes from the indica because this terpene has a very strong sedative effect. And one of the ways I know this is I was doing an article for ganjapreneurs on an activist group up in Canada that was growing cannabis for veterans, and I was talking to the guy, a breeder that they use, and he had told me that he had bred the myrcene so high up in the cannabis that the vets told him, "Hey, you need to tone that down a little bit," because they couldn't even hardly use it without going to sleep. So, myrcene is the one. So, if you're looking for a strong sedative effect from cannabis, you want to be looking for the myrcene. So this is found in lemongrass and mango, and this is where this whole thing comes from. If you just Google it, mango and cannabis, they say if you eat mango or drink mango juice, you can get a stronger effect. I don't really haven't tested that, but could be possible because both of them have myrcene. So it's woody smell, herbaceous. It's got a carrot smell, which makes sense. I actually have a strain called Carrot Cake, and they named it because it had a really strong carroty smell to it. And in matter of fact, it does, and it does have a sedative effect. It has a sedative, calming effect. Myrcene does. So this is something that if you're having PTSD or panic attacks or anything like this, you want to try a cannabis that um, has that carroty, herby, grassy smell. That's myrcene. So the next one up is delta limonene. And limonene, of course, it's really easy to kind of figure out what this comes from. So this is found in orange and citrus peel, or of course in lemons, and it's a really strong terpene. It's one that we're very familiar with because it's always around us. The berry smell, fruity smell. So it kind of smells like a peel or a sweet citrusy smell. Um, has an uplifting effect. Limonene does, and it is antibacterial. Limonene, of course, if you put a little lemon in water and you use it to disinfect your house like a natural cleaner. So limonene is one of these ones that, if you're having like fungus problems, people have on your feet or wherever else, cannabis with limonene would be something you want to try. It is uplifting if you want. This would be like a daytime use kind of terpene. And so the next one up, and I believe it's our last one, is linalool, Linalool. And linalool or linalool is found in lavender, and this is where cannabis always gets its purple. So when you see that purple in cannabis, that's from linalool terpenes. And it has a floral, woody rose smell to it. And linalool also has a sedative effect, and it's well known that lavender oil has a sedative effect. So you take that and then you transfer it over to cannabis, and it has the same effect. And then when you vaporize it or ignite it, and it goes into your lungs and then into your bloodstream, it still has those same effects. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the terpenes are what give each cannabis strain its special effects. So that's why we were talking about the sativa and indica really don't matter. It's all about the terpenes, because whatever the terpenes are is what the effect is going to be. And the way Dr. Raver explained this to me was, if you have THC, THC is THC is THC. So if you have a cannabis flower with 9% THC, and then you have another cannabis flower with 9% THC, but they're from two different plants, and you use them and you get two different effects. Well, what is the one thing that's different? Well, it's the terpenes. So those are the things that give each cannabis strain its effect. So next time you go into a retail cannabis store, or anybody you're talking to getting cannabis from, and they ask you, hey, do you want sativa or indica? Say, neither. Tell me about some terpenes. And if you're here in Washington, you're going to have problems because you can't smell your cannabis. But I believe in Oregon you can, and I'm hoping in some of the other places that you can actually. In Colorado, you can actually put it out on a display and people can smell it. So we really want to try to get away from this sativa and indica thing. And the way to do that is remember our terpenes. So those are our basic terpenes. We have linalool, limonene, myrcene, pinene, beta-caryophyllene, humulene, and bisabolol. Did I get that from memory? Don't let people tell you that cannabis messes up your memory, because it doesn't. So the terpenes are a big deal. So spread the word out there. Thanks for checking my video out today. I am the blind guy doing stuff, and you can find other kind of cannabis related stuff on my channel. You can also check me out on 101.9 in Tacoma for my Cannabis Corner show, and read some of my writing over on Ganjapreneurs and Cannabis Financial Network. So thanks for checking it out, and share this video if you are interested in terpenes and everything else cannabis. Have a good day.